other thing that I do validate or, reiterate to our buyers is that there are some things once you enter into the pre-approval process that you don't want to jeopardize anything from your credit criteria. So there is a list of do's and don'ts that we provide to the buyers, such as, I don't know if do you want me to segue into this right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So the do's and the don'ts, obviously we want them to continue to save money, okay? You can talk about gift funds from family members and that kind of thing, or blood relative, okay? We want them to, I always tell them, start a folder. You're gonna wanna gather your pay stubs, you wanna gather your bank statements and keep it in that folder, because that way when your offer does get accepted, it may take them 2 to 3 months. They're gonna be like caught up in the viewing of the homes and everything.
Right.
And when the offer gets accepted, you say, Julie, they found their home, it's awesome, we're moving forward, right? Then I reiterate to them, hey, we need updated bank statements and pay stubs, okay? So it's much easier if they kind of start to do it as they go along. Doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes we're tracking them down and pulling our hair out, but it's all good. That's part of our job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the don't part of it is, once their credit is pulled, we definitely do not want them to open up any new credit. One of the things that I feel I go the extra mile on is if I see that they have a car payment and their lease is gonna be ending, or I try to confirm that, hey, is this car a lease or is it installment loans? Because if it's less than 10 payments, you don't have to utilize that. On certain program guidelines,
Okay.
you don't have to hit that payment against them.
So it doesn't count toward their debt.
Correct, it does not count towards the debt to income. So it's always good to look at that, study their credit, know what you're speaking of, right? And then, obviously, if it is less than 10 payments, we don't have to count it. If the lease is coming up, I'm gonna talk to them and say, hey, what are we gonna do about this lease? Because if they're at, say, a 240 and then they're gonna bump to a 340, that may not qualify them for that price point that we already have them qualified for or pre-approved for. So those are all valid things. You never want to co-sign for people's loans. That is such, I get it. I get that parents want to help their children, but in the long grand scheme of things, when people are transferring money back and forth, or there's cash and then that parent pays it, or that co-signer pays that payment for them, that's kind of like a no-no, because then we have to count that payment against them, and sometimes it bumps them out of the qualifying bracket. Okay. And no cash payments or deposits, meaning that, let's say you say, oh, Julie, by the way, I sold a motorcycle, and you get cash for it, and next thing you know, you have a large deposit of cash going into the bank account. That's a no-no. Unless we can validate it, I have to tell them we need a bill of sale, we need the blue book value on it, we need a copy of that cashier's check. We need this to be all executed in order for us to count that. If that money goes in, we can't use those funds without that documentation.
So just put it in your mattress until after the loan is closed.
Or however, if they can obtain gift funds in that same amount, that's fine, but we just cannot utilize those funds if it's a large cash deposit.
Okay.
Okay?